This particular counteroffensive went into an area where the Russians had no more than 2,000 light troops, effectively the equivalent of what most Americans would recognize as special weapon assault teams in the police, and some airborne troops. That was it. They'd virtually evacuated everybody else. They did have some equipment waiting to be evacuated, but the Russian army per se had moved elsewhere, frankly, down into Kherson in that region and also into the Donbass to complete operations there. Undoubtedly, our satellite-based surveillance informed the Ukrainians that this was an opportunity. So the Ukrainians gathered together new troops, new forces that consisted for the most part of untrained reservists, a few veterans, about 40 tanks in the lead with perhaps another 40 or 50 armored fighting vehicles. Behind that, the mass of the force in trucks, many of which you would recognize as technicals. These are commercial trucks fitted with military weapons. And they punched through this line and then drove perhaps 50, 60 miles all the way to this town of Izium on the river, which is just short of the Russian border. Now, as they drove, they took horrendous rocket artillery, conventional artillery, and airstrikes. The 2,000 sustained perhaps a handful of casualties and got out largely untouched. The sacrifice made for this very modest gain, depending upon which source you go to, is anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 killed or wounded.
All right, you call the gain modest.
Yes.
Is the territory that President Zelensky claims was recaptured worth the cost of recapturing it?
No, it wasn't. The bulk of Ukraine's resources, its mineral resources, industrial capacity, even its best agricultural areas, all of that sits under the Russians right now. And when you calculate this area as compared with the rest of the area under Russian control, it's about 1%. The Russians had already made the decision to do something that we do in war. They took risk. It was an economy of force operation. Man the front, otherwise withdraw your best forces and mobile reserves, move them elsewhere where they have a much more important task. So they took risk. The Ukrainians found out about it. It's a great propaganda victory in the short run, particularly in the run-up to Zelensky's meeting in Texas with the heads of all the defense industries to try and create the illusion that Ukraine isn't finished.